Hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of Damage Rolls. We have a very special episode for you tonight. I am Mr. Producer, and here with me, as always, is the ever fabulous Chef Bolg
Greetings. Greetings
and
never
my
change.
favorite wise man ever, Loke the Bard.
Okie dokie.
So we're gonna hop right into it tonight because we have a lot to talk about. Um, I want to start by clarifying. Let's start with a spoiler warning. Right, we are going to be talking about the ins and outs of Fallout, this week's hot ticket item, and honestly, some of the best goddamn TV I think I've ever seen. But we'll get into that shortly. I want to start by saying I am just a casual gamer of the Fallout series. I played through Fallout 4 once. I had a good time with it, but that was kind of the beginning and the end of it for me. Is it fair to say that you are both mega fans of the series?
I have become a mega fan of the series.
Okay.
I think Bolg is gonna wear the crown in this one.
Yes, I believe Bolg will be doing the...
Me? No. I mean, it's not possible.
I don't
that
have
that
Fallout
big of a
tattooed.
Fallout fan or anything.
No one's pointing fingers here.
I have played the original Fallout back in the 90s. Haven't played it again since. I've played 3 and I've played New Vegas and I've 100%ed 4.
Let's clarify real quick. You 99%ed, right? And then you went back.
No. I had 99%ed it and had to go back and start over because of a game-breaking glitch. To get that the last trophy I needed was you had to collect like the magazines in Nuka World DLC, which you have to be like level 30 to get to that DLC anyway. The magazine had glitched through the floor of one of the locations, so I couldn't pick up one of the recipe magazines to complete that last trophy.
It's a severely tragic story, folks.
Yeah. And I had to basically start over from the beginning, level up enough to get into the Nuka World DLC, and then recollect all of those the Nuka-Cola recipes trophy to 100% it. But I did do it during COVID.
So yes, long story short, my point of view will be someone who has knowledge of the Fallout, but not intricate, whereas Loke and Bolg have played through extensively and are a little more familiar with the universe it resides in. I'd like to start real quick with just a simple question. I'll start with you, Bolg. Is it everything you wanted it to be? Just
Absolutely.
a yes or no.
Absolutely. Yes.
And what about you, Loke?
It is the Falloutiest Fallout I think we could have asked for. I do have some little nitpicks, but they are truly nitpicks. I mean, we're talking, it's an excellent show.
I wanted to be critical of it, and it quickly changed how I was viewing it, because it is just fantastic television. But we are experiencing a technical difficulty real quick. I'm gonna refresh Bolg here because he is frozen.
Yeah, well,
He will rejoin shortly. Give us your initial thoughts on it, Loke.
my initial thought, they have done an excellent job of bringing the game to the adaptation.
The aesthetic of it is insane.
Yeah, all of the sets, the costumes, but the tone is exactly the game's tone. It's more than just we've got a stim pack that looks like a stim pack. They have actually taken the time, put in the effort, put in the history and the lore, and made the game. It made a TV show that could easily be the cutscenes from a game. I mean, you could Fallout doesn't really do cutscenes, but if it did,
yes,
this could be cutscenes from Fallout 5.
I mean,
Easily.
you are in the universe.
Yeah.
The sets it explores are, I mean, they look 1-to-1 in some of these scenes. All right, I think we got Bulk back here.
Oh, stupid.
Welcome back, buddy. Sorry about that. It freezes up every now and again. So
Pre-war tech. It's not to be trusted.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
All those computers 219 years from now are still turned on and running. Their operating system don't crash.
Bulk, we were just speaking about how the show looks, the aesthetics of the show and the set design, and I felt like I was in like the game, in the universe. What's your take on the set and production?
First of all, the Cali wasteland is massive compared to like the spaces we've seen. Yeah, it's huge. The scale is huge, and I really appreciated that. I also appreciate they weren't afraid to show some green. 76 showed us that there is green still out there.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought it was a good mix of old school hellish landscape as well as some greenery, and the towns were all very, very good. And obviously I got super excited when I saw a lot of the old locations that we've come to know and love in the games.
Yeah, so
Super Duper Mart, Red Rocket.
I've got a few questions related to that as someone returning.
That town of Philly could have been. I mean, that could have been Diamond City or Megaton.
Mhm.
It looked just like.
Well, I mean, Shady Sands was closer to Megaton, because it's just a crater.
Is Sandy Shores? Is that? I'm unsure of exactly where the show falls within the game's timeline. Which locations are we visited that are known within like the game and community?
The show is after the game's timeline.
The show is after the games.
Yeah,
After Fallout 4.
Actually, I believe it technically is. I believe New Vegas is technically after 4, chronologically. I could be mistaken. I'll leave that to Bulk. They're within like 5 years of each other, but I believe I want to say New Vegas actually chronologically takes place after.
So, from what I remember, it's been a long time since I've played Fallout 1 and 2, which this has inspired me to want to go back and play those again.
Yeah.
From what I remember, these were entirely new locales and new vaults and everything like that. So the only recognizable space we got was New Vegas right at the very end.
Was that the end shot? Was New Vegas?
Yeah, that was
That's
New
the
Vegas.
big spoiler for okay.
Yeah,
Took us
spoilers
10 minutes
are
to get to a spoiler from the very last episode's very last scene.
And
Did we do a spoiler alert? I meant to touch on that.
You did at the very beginning. You said this is spoiler heavy. So if that's not a spoiler alert, you just need to hear the words then.
Yeah, I was going to suggest, we partition it off so that we could have people join as, and leave as they got to, but too late.
Oh, no.
They're in it now.
Number 8.
Believe me,
some of the stuff I want to talk about most came from the last couple episodes.
Yeah. Should we hold on? We're gonna. All right. You know what? I have a solution here. We are going to take some text. You guys keep going. I'm gonna put a spoiler warning.
Okay. I have to pull up. I did take some notes.
Fallout 3, Fallout 4, and New Vegas all fall like within a really short period of each other. But because they're in different regions, they don't actually overlap.
Okay, so none of the characters are existing characters from the show. Is that
none of the characters in the show are characters? They're all new for the show.
Okay.
And the West Coast, other than New Vegas, they haven't been out to the California Republic or the new the NCR. They
Uh-huh.
haven't been out to the NCR since
Mhm.
Fallout 1 and 2.
Okay.
I, was what was the settlement shady? The one that got blown up, was that the name of the
Shady
one?
Shady Sands.
Shady Sands.
Was that the settlement from Fallout 2, where you get to at the end of Fallout 1 and you start in Fallout 2? I didn't play Fallout 2, so I'm not sure on that one.
Yeah, I am not entirely certain.
From what I understand, Fallout 2, you continue as the original, like where you left off from Fallout 1. It's the only one that's like a true sequel in that way,
Okay.
from what I understand. I have not played that one, so I could be completely talking out my ass.
Yes, Shady Sands was is the first capital of the New California Republic and one of the largest cities. Let me see.
All right. Well,
It was in Fallout 1. Yes.
Oh, okay, the end of Fallout 1.
Okay.
All right.
And
So
then
yeah,
it blew the fuck up.
Yeah, so they apparently blew it up in the series, or before the series starts, or in between, because the flashbacks.
Yes. Yes.
They go into some stuff in this show that's hinted at in the lore, But
Do you have an
it's one of those
example?
things you have to everything that happens before the war.
Okay. Okay.
Every single piece of that, there's little hints like you can find, Vault Tech memos, that are talking about the acquisition of this actor's voice or whatever,
Okay.
You can find little clues like that through each of the games, and there's YouTube channels with videos that are dedicated to nothing but piecing those clues together into the complete history of Fallout. You just search YouTube for the complete history of Fallout, and you'll see hour-long videos where they go into that detail.
Wow.
And this show it's confirming a lot of those theories. It changes a little bit of the canon, because it does blatantly say certain things that, like I said, have been hinted at. I have not come across anything where it blatantly came out and said that the companies are actually incited the war direct. I know they.
So just to clarify, in the games, nothing has.
It's heavily implied, but it is not outright stated.
It's kind of like the oil companies don't say they created the Iraq War, but we all know.
Gotcha.
And if you read news articles from the time period, it was about a war about oil.
Gotcha. Yeah, it was. I mean, this show just start to finish. Every scene was compelling. Like every scene pushed me into wanting to know what was going to happen next. My Fallout experience was only that of a very normie casual, so I never delved too deep into it. But like now that I've seen this, I'm curious about. I'm gonna reinstall the game on my computer after this. How well do you think the show adapts newcomers to the series?
Well, knowing we were going to be doing this show, after I finished watching the series, I watched a bunch of the reaction videos that are on, people post on YouTube. I watch those kind of things. I'm subscribed to a bunch of them. And I see a bunch of first timers who've never played any of it.
Mm-hmm.
And overwhelmingly, every reaction video I've seen has been positive.
Okay, that's good.
I think a similar thing happened with The Last of Us.
Yeah, where there's they do a very good job of giving the details you need. I think the junk jet is the most confusing thing I've seen so far, because they don't really explain it. They just show a baby arm sticking out of a dead body.
Yeah, that was a nice that was a nice scene.
Yeah.
Well, they do show it in the next episode up on the wall.
Yeah.
But they don't explain what it is. You just have to be you have to turn to your friend who is a fan and go, "What the hell is that thing?" Oh, that's the junk jet. After a while, it becomes useless, but it's a fun weapon.
I think
Yeah,
it does a very nice job of, there's a little bit of context that newcomers have to like pick up, and it doesn't give the full, scope of it. But I think it does a nice job of giving uh, players who are familiar with the games, the nice those little cookies throughout the show. For example, the show starts off with Grognak the Barbarian,
Yep.
which is just a phenomenal little like Easter egg for the people that understand what's going on.
Also, at the start of the show, did Walton Goggins learn how to rope, or did he already know how to do it before started shooting that scene? He looks way too comfortable.
They spent a lot of money on this show. I'm sure they got him a good trainer if he didn't already know.
The cast was phenomenal as well, but we'll delve into that.
Leslie Uggams was such a good misdirect cast. It's Leslie Uggams. She has to be a good guy, right?
I'm sorry, who's that?
Leslie Uggams. Betty.
Oh, yes.
Betty, yeah. A wonderful misdirect cast, but a perfect cast for exactly who the character is. Who else would have a messiah complex and want to, control everything than Muad'Dib himself? Kyle MacLachlan was just perfect. As soon as I saw him, I'm like, this dude's not legit. It's good. There's going to be a twist at the end where he's a bad guy. Yep, absolutely.
The de-aging they did on him even looked really good at the last episode there.
Yeah. Zach Cherry. There was one small unbelievable moment where I guess maybe it's not that unbelievable because the video games are. They did do a lot of things that were video gamey. Because the Raiders when the guy shoved the guy's head onto the rifle, then turned and shot it down the hallway, he missed Zach Cherry. Zach Cherry is not a small man. He should have been shot.
This show was, I think there's no better word to describe it than visceral.
It is. Everybody's got the bloody mess perk. Yeah.
Which the fact that is a perk in the game that most people play with because it's fun.
What? I'm sorry. What does that perk do?
It when you shoot people, their heads explode,
Oh.
or their limbs, their foot,
or their whole body
off,
just
or,
goes.
Yeah.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah, it increases the odds because you could still do it with the right weapon without it, but it increases the odds of it
Gotcha.
happening.
I do like. I'm looking at my notes, which I'm going to finish writing them. I wasn't feeling well today, so I didn't get to finish writing them. I've only gotten through episode 2 and a little bit of episode 3, taking notes, but we can post those eventually in, on one of our
Social
stuff.
Medias, yes.
Yeah. But just my notes are like quick little blurbs about whatever's going on, and it's all chronological. So as I'm watching the episode, they set up Cooper's conflict with Barb and the seeds of his motivation and distrust of Vaultec in the first 5 minutes of this. And that's not something that comes back around until episode 7 or 8.
Really? I'll have to take a look at it. I'm sure I'll do a watch through of it again.
That's why he's at the birthday party to begin with.
Yeah.
Okay.
Alimony.
Yeah.
I
Rose,
really like.
Rose is such an important character for not being shown until episode 4 or 5 when it's a flashback when she's shown.
Yeah.
And then she's a ghoul in the last episode.
Yeah, their character development is impeccable. Every named character in there has some deep knowledge, some deep backstory that you feel attachment to on some level or another. And
it's a great Lucy. Like one of my notes here, Lucy was set up to be a Mary Sue with all like her intro is setting her up to be a Mary Sue,
Mhm.
and then as soon as she gets out the damn door, she's not.
Yeah.
She's not at all. Her charisma is high, but nobody pays attention to her because she's a vaulty, which was something more from the first games than it was later on. Um, also, Ella Purnell,
She killed
excellent,
it. Oh
excellent.
my god.
And if you didn't know she was British, you wouldn't know. Her
Really?
American accent is impeccable.
Wow.
And like you had posted, last night, or told us last night, she's also the voice of Jinx in Arcane.
Yes, yes.
Mhm.
Yeah, you know, to be able to traverse that plane of both animated actor and, you know, live action actor it's an impressive talent that not everyone possesses.
Yeah, I love Lucy. She played that optimistic naivete, but
Isn't
still,
that an entirely different show you're talking about, Loke?
no, not the black and white old TV show. I Love Lucy. I love the character
Yeah,
Lucy
I'm just fucking-
in Fallout, but she had that like I said, it's the optimistic naivete, but still, like, she wasn't stupid.
Yes.
That is so hard to pull off.
Yeah,
They did a fantastic job with characters acting how they would be in the environment they are accustomed to, and it was interesting to see them explore what happens when they're then put into a different environment. They did that with, you know, Lucy into the Wastelands, the Raiders into the Vault, Max from the Steel Brotherhood into the Luxury. You know, they spent a lot of, you know, effort with making sure they got these characters, like, you know, the environmental changes right.
even
it didn't
even
feel clunky.
little tiny things that come up later in the show. The ghoul could have absolutely killed CX-404 with a stab to the head, but he chose a stab to the body in lethal means just to get the dog off of him, because it shows in the later episode he's a dog lover.
Mhm.
So he did what he had to save himself, and then he brought it.
Yeah, just like an Easter egg from the game, when you have dog meat as your companion, you can use the stim pack to bring him back when he gets knocked out.
Yep. And
Great Easter egg that fits the story. They didn't go out of the way to create it. Well, I'm sure they did, but I mean, it doesn't feel like they went off script to create it.
I do
It
like
kind of organically happened.
I did like that there's a little more reality thrown into it, even though it is very video gamey of a show. The fact that the stim pack's not a cure-all. You still do have to take care of the wound. It falls more into the hardcore version of Fallout New Vegas, which I appreciated a lot. Especially when you have people like Maximus getting shot with a tooth and having to have it removed.
Yeah.
Which, can we speak on Maximus? The first 10 seconds he's shown on screen, he's shown to be this, plucky, scrappy, fighter-looking guy. No, he's just getting the shit beat out of him. And that's him the entire time, is just the world taking a giant dump on him.
Yep.
Constantly.
I liked his character. My only, I don't want to call it a gripe, because it's not, they explain it well in a later episode,
Mm-hmm.
was the Brotherhood of Steel came off a little more frat than military organization.
Somebody
as they
hasn't
do in
played Brotherhood. Fallout
he
Brotherhood.
also, the elder, when he comes back to them later, explains that they've kind of lost the discipline that they had in their earlier years, and so it makes sense in the story. It's just sitting through it the first time, not knowing they're going to explain that later. It came off a little, and they kind of kind of veered away from because the Brotherhood has this whole thing where they're anti-mutant, anti-ghoul, anti
Mm.
non-human.
Yeah.
And they're a hate group. They are not a good. They're not good people.
They're not. No, and they do a really good job of setting that up.
Yeah.
Just by their techniques and everything like that, where they're like, we'd rather you be a corpse than useless.
Right.
That yeah.
But
So
I thought the show kind of sugarcoated that part of it a little bit. Like they hint at it still, like when the Squire becomes a ghoul, and he's got to run because he knows the Brotherhood wouldn't accept him like that. So
Well,
they hint that it's there, but they didn't really. I don't think they really spelled it out the way it's spelled out in the game.
Well, we'll see what happens when they start. I'm assuming season 2 is when they're going to get super mutants going, because there is a
I was about to
very
ask
large
about
super
that.
mutant community in the New Vegas area.
Okay.
So I think maybe they were just holding back because there is already a lot. Introducing super mutants
That's
would
fair.
be
Yeah.
it would be
And the
extra
Deathclaw.
stuff.
It's Deathclaw skull at the end.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just
it
an
was a
Easter egg.
skull.
Just an Easter egg at this point.
Yeah, they wanted an original creature, which props to them for giving one that's creepy and
The
terrifying.
Gulper.
The Gulper.
Yeah.
I want next time they update Fallout 4 or 76, that Gulper better have fingers that look like that in its mouth.
Which you can
Yeah,
also
I can
tell
understand the graphics that they had in Far Harbor. You can't see the. But next time they update it, I want to be able to see those fingers.
Yeah.
Which
So-
good on them for making sure that you can tell that it was formerly an axolotl, born from a woman. Thank you, Vaultec.
I had forgotten about Last of Us, but do you believe that this is now the #1 video game adaptation, or does it still have contention with Last of Us? Or was there a third option that I'm missing?
The problem is it's like apples and oranges.
Okay.
This is a more a dark comedy, where
And it's
Last of Us is a tragedy.
this is definitely a dark comedy.
Yeah.
All right. Let me rephrase.
I think it'd be.
in
We are
terms
living in
of,
the golden age of video game adaptations.
Did you
I'm
did
glad
you
to
both
have-
see Last of Us?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, I did not. Let me rephrase my question. Not which one is better. Which one is the more accurate video game adaptation?
Well, The Last of Us is a direct adaptation. Fallout
Okay.
is a.
Yeah.
It is still apples and oranges because Fallout has an original story set in the same universe as the games, which I think is
The game makers are classifying as canon.
yes.
This show
Which
is
is-
canon.
Which is why they did not fuck with anything from the games other than blowing up Shady Sands. But then Shady Sands also expanded. It used to have about 3,000 people in Fallout 1, according to the wiki I was looking at. And then it jumped to 34,000 and then got blown the fuck up.
Yeah, and
So-
Fallout 1 and 2 are like 50 or 100 years before 3, 4, and New Vegas.
Yeah. And 76 is the beginning where it's only a
Yes.
century or two after the bombs.
So yeah, but they have said, and they work closely with the game developers to make sure they're not treading on anything that would appear in 5, which you don't have to worry about for another 10 years probably.
I don't know if this does well. We might get it a little faster.
Well, it's not coming until after the next Elder Scrolls. So
Okay.
and Bethesda takes on average about 6 years a game, and we probably got 3 or 4 years left before.
Oh yeah, Starfield did just come out recently.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we probably
so
probably about
you
10
got a
years. You're right.
Good 10 years before you got to worry about it.
All right,
We'll get lots of seasons of this before that. Now, I've not seen it anywhere official. I have heard, again, on YouTube, people say that it was picked up for the second season. So hopefully the second season will be coming quickly.
It got picked up It got picked up on the Monday before the series released.
Yeah.
So not the immediate Monday, not like this past Monday, but the Monday before, and they've already started filming. So they
Wow.
already had an idea.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
so
Cool.
hopefully we'll be getting season 2. You know, it won't be an Invincible situation where you're
Okay.
waiting 2.5 years
Gotcha.
for for the next season.
Well,
Uh,
speaking of season 2, I'd like to deviate briefly. As you guys saw in the chat, I was watching some of Halo season 2 as some background noise, um, and I was speaking to my father about it. If my mother is named the Mountain, I believe it's appropriate to name my father the Hurricane. So I will effectively be referring to him as the Hurricane moving forwards. But anyways, he and I were speaking, and he believed that in reference to the Halo, the show itself feels like a sci-fi show with Halo elements in it,
Yeah.
whereas with Fallout it feels much more like in person. And he said his words were, Halo feels like it's directed by a fanboy. And what I want to know from you guys is, would that statement be more appropriately applied to Fallout?
yeah,
Yeah,
Fallout, yes.
absolutely. I feel like Halo was studio interference at the top level.
Okay.
Because it doesn't feel like Halo.
Well, if hiring people who did not play Halo, did not pay attention to the source material, and did not want to, is studio interference, then it's studio.
Right, because
they've gone on record as saying they ignored the games.
Right, because I'm only like halfway through. I didn't even finish the Fall of Reach. It's just they I had a little outburst in our group chat because in the Fall of Reach, which is a pivotal moment in the Halo lore.
It's got its own book.
Yeah, they dismissed the armor by writing it out, saying that they took it off planet as they evacuated. So you have all the Spartans with no armor on. They wrote out the best part of the show, probably for money reasons.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like going back. But the Hurricane said it felt like it was by a fanboy, and I just didn't. I think Fallout was a fan, like there were people involved that cared about this IP.
Yeah.
One of the executive producers is Todd Howard.
Oh,
He's not going to let
can
you know.
wait, the Todd Howard,
Yeah,
the
you didn't see Todd
Skyrim
Howard.
Todd
You didn't
Howard.
see his name pop up at the beginning of every episode.
The composer is the composer from Fallout. Which, by the way, when the Fallout theme popped up for the first time, I think in episode 5 or 6, goosebumps. Excellent use of it, keeping it from us until that moment. Which he made a lot of new cool music. Obviously, we usually don't play with just the ambient music on, which another thing this show did really well. Soundtrack is fire. They use a lot of the songs we heard.
Sound in general on this. When they fire a stim pack shot into themselves, it sounds like a stim pack shot in the game. When Lucy pulls out the chainsaw,
The Ripper Blade?
The Ripper Blade, thank you. It sounds like a Ripper Blade starting up in the game. It's almost like they took the sound files from the game and used that as their.
What would be so bad about that? Yeah.
Well,
if it fits perfectly, like the rad meter sounds goddamn perfect.
The only thing is, I think the power armor doesn't sound quite like it does in Fallout 4, which is fine because they actually took it to another level and made it imposing as hell. That scene where Titus is walking back and forth behind Maximus while he's getting interrogated, that is the most imposing power armor has seemed to me in the entire series.
Yeah. And if and when Fallout 5 ever comes, if you can't crush dudes' heads with your power armor, I'm going to be disappointed with Bethesda. because that definitely needs to be part of Fallout
That
5,
was
or
so
even
cool.
said
Yeah.
maybe in the next update to 76, to be able
Yeah,
to reach
they
out
have
and
an
grab
opportunity.
somebody's
They have
head
an
and just
opportunity here to revitalize 76 after this. That would be a missed opportunity if they didn't.
I also like there's just little touches of things like, of course it's a show, it has to have a plot, it has to have a structure, but there are little things in the game that you only get, lore in the background by searching it down, like you said, in the
yeah.
computers and stuff like that. They did a very good visual thing where Wiltzig, killed himself on a Russian satellite that was just downed, which shows two things. One, that the Russians were spying on us, and that the war was probably going to happen either way.
Mm-hmm.
Two, that you throw off that many nuclear bombs, the EMP is going to be incredible and is going to lead to some outer space destruction.
Yeah, and they do a lot of this stuff without lore dumping
It flows
all
so
as well.
smoothly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and because like I said, in the game you have, if you're into the lore, you can search it out and you can find it in the game. But like I said, you don't, other than the when you beat the game. Is there any place else there's cutscenes in any of them? The opening entry,
Mm. Yeah.
I think like the only cutscenes.
There at the opening and then the end of the game is usually where the cutscenes are. Everything
Yeah,
else is done in engine, um, which is true for most of Bethesda's games.
right.
In Fallout 1, in Fallout 2, it's the same way. Only the way they do conversations is with a little cutscene, like full motion video screens.
Yeah, because
Um,
it was
it was
much
the
much
fashion
weaker
of the
computing.
time.
Yeah, much weaker computing technology back then.
Mm.
But I think they did a really good.
They also, I believe they've done some lore fixes as well,
Oh yeah.
because between switching from the original publisher and Obsidian and Bethesda, there are a couple discrepancies, especially
Okay.
concerning ghouls.
Really?
Um,
Are you able to elaborate?
in Fallout 4, it is made clear that ghouls don't age.
Okay.
In previous Fallouts, they have aged. Um, and why they go feral and those kind of things. Um, the addition of the chems that the ghoul in the show and the other ghouls are using basically to keep themselves from going
I'm
feral,
going feral. Yeah.
I think is a nice fix for those discrepancies. Because if you have the chems, you're not aging, you're not going feral. If you don't,
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's a
it's a clean fix. And it could have been there in the background. Just because they didn't mention it in those other ones doesn't mean it wasn't there.
Yep.
So I think that's a nice fix. Because like that's another one. If you look up YouTube plot hole videos for the Fallout series, like the kid in the fridge in Fallout 4 is a major one, because kid ghouls grow up in earlier versions.
I'm sorry.
Yep.
I'm sorry. Which one?
There's a side quest where you find a kid ghoul in a fridge in Fallout 4.
Oh.
He's been
you
stuck
can,
there.
yeah, he's been stuck there since the war, and you can either help him get back to his.
Which was that a unintentional homage, or was that do you think 100% intentional?
I think that was 100% intent. I mean, this is a game where you go in and you get Blade Runner, you know, this test for synths is the test from Blade Runner, to see if they're a real person or not.
They're so.
You find bodies that are laid out in scenes from famous movies all the time in
Okay.
Fallout. So it was either an homage to Blade Runner or an homage. I mean, not, to Fallout 4, or an homage to the Indiana Jones in a fridge. In
Well,
oh,
what I was actually thinking was, well, Maximus survived the explosion by hiding in a lead-lined fridge.
yeah, like Indiana
Um,
Jones. In the
I was
Crystal
thinking
Skull.
like it was that ghoul kid, because he
Yeah.
should have been a ghoul with that open back fan.
Yeah.
He shouldn't have survived that. But that was that. There are a couple nitpicks,
Yeah.
um, but they're so minor like that. Like I can forgive that because they're obviously trying to tell Maximus' story. Um, there's a couple of other things. If Cooper knew about the T60 design flaw, like he points out in
Mhm.
the
And I wish they, with the design flaw, I wish they would have used the real design flaw from the games.
What's that?
You hit the uh, fusion core,
Oh,
and it ejects and explodes and
Okay.
kills everybody around. I
Yeah,
wish they
but-
would have kept that instead of him shooting him under the rib cage or wherever
yeah.
he's shooting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
at.
Yeah.
But if he knew that, why didn't he use it on Max
Right.
in that first fight?
Yeah.
I mean,
Which,
he was
if
getting
they-
tossed around.
Again, if he would have used the real one, because Max didn't have his back to him,
Mm.
it would have been an easy fix. But yeah, nothing's perfect.
Did
Um,
Did you guys have any belly laugh moments?
Oh yes, I had a few. The
Yeah.
first came in that fight in Philly, when he grabs the tomatoes and he's hiding behind the thing, and the guy's it's like, "Well, I'd offer you one, but you got a hole in your neck."
no, I had some before that where like in the vault with the little brother, they're getting ready to sneak out Lucy out of the vault, and the old guy with the mustache, the grumpy old guy, and he's
Oh,
like,
"You get right, you get back here now,
"How's
young
how's your
lady."
day going?" or something. He's like, "Shitty as everybody else's," or whatever he said. His exact wording, but he looks at him like he's the dumbest kid ever. And he's like, "It's bad as everybody else's. What the hell are you talking about?"
I think mine was when they're at the farm and Max comes up with the power armor and he grabs the farmer. He's holding him by the head and he's like tells the other guy gets up and like scrams. He's like, "You sir are a gentleman and a scholar." And like that's one of my favorite lines. And he like runs off and he lets the farmer up and he goes, "What was that guy doing anyway?" "He was fucking my chickens." I laughed so hard.
That is a classic moral situation you would run across all the time in Fallout games.
Yeah.
You have to go into this situation with no prior knowledge and make a decision. In this case, it set up the consequences of the actions having an impact down the line, which I think Fallout 3 did better than some of the other games. But by saving the snake oil salesman, he in turn made Thaddeus a ghoul later in the series.
Mm-hmm.
Because if that guy was dead, Thaddeus would be dead.
Mm-hmm. The other,
Which that foot.
And also true to the game, you meet multiple factions.
Mhm.
You side with one for the last conflict, and that brings whatever ending you're gonna have. She met somebody from the Enclave, just the one guy. but
Wiltzig, yeah.
Wiltzig, somebody from the Brotherhood.
new
and-
the new
NCR.
Republic.
the NCR, and she sided with the Brotherhood. The Brotherhood comes in and wipes out and takes over, and they wind up with the prize at the end.
Mhm.
Which it's a shame the pirate captain couldn't join us, because I would love to point out that they have representation, but it's so minor that you may not have even realized it was there. Because it doesn't inform their character. It is just a fact of their character. And
Are you
that's Dane.
speaking of Max's friend from
Dane, yeah.
Dane,
Dane
yes.
is non-binary, and you wouldn't know unless you missed, unless you were paying close enough attention and picked up the pronoun use in the interrogation.
So I have a counterpoint to that, which I found kind of interesting. As I was speaking to, I had Halo on, and there's a scene in it where one of the Spartans goes to dinner. She's meeting with someone that she knows, and she goes into their house, and it is two homosexual men, and there's a full kiss on scene, and you know it just happens, and they move on with the show, and you know there's an interesting difference on which shows are doing representation and which aren't. It caught my eye as like, okay, you know, it is instead of like the opposite of that representation where okay they're just there, it's you know it's there but it's a normal thing. It's an interesting complicated subject in media.
Yeah, if they make a big deal out of it, they're pandering. If it is just a fact of who the character is, it's representation done the right way, in my opinion. Like everybody talked so much about Sulu in the new Star Trek movies being gay and how that was done correctly, and now you look back at it and it's like, no, they made it a very pointed shot to show him kissing and grouping up with his husband and his daughter.
Yeah, in the Halo scene, it was just you know it was presented as, I don't want to word incorrectly. You know, it was just integrated in, and that was you know, and then the show kept moving. So it was an interesting. Sorry, what? Not mirror. It's like
Parallel.
Parallel. Not yeah. What's the opposite of a parallel?
Perpendicular.
No, like for a character, a foil. It's an interesting foil between Fallout and Halo. So, but anyways,
yeah. Although they did do that well, but I one of the things I did not kind of jive with was their using of the sexual morals of the Vault versus the Brotherhood to counterpoint Lucy and Maximus, making the Vault's a very sexually aware and open and very progressive, and then
some would say too progressive.
Yeah, some would say too progressive, whereas the Brotherhood, he doesn't even know what a boner is. It's like, come on.
I think they did that specifically to make a joke.
Yes.
The cock explode joke. Right.
But that one, I also kind of had some issues with the love at first sight. You have to work for companions to be turned into a relationship in Fallout. You have to do so many damn side quests to build your relationship.
I'm putting so damn much into this relationship.
Yeah. They should have had to do something. One or the other needed to do at least one side quest.
Yeah.
Well, they did. They did a side quest. They went to when he got shot. They went and got, medical supplies and got stuck down in Vault 4, which I think was an interesting. They've deified Moldaver, and I thought that was pretty interesting because they're obviously survivors of Shady Sands, and it's all. There are so many awesome details that want you to go back and rewatch, which is brilliant on the showrunners, part, because there are things that you get in the last couple of episodes that you can then go back and go, oh, like Wiltzig, how did he know so much about Lucy and the vault she was from? Well, because he was partners with Moldaver and Rose, and he went to work for the Enclave after to keep the Cold Fusion project alive.
I didn't catch up on that, so I'll have to watch it again.
It's one of those where it was like, oh, okay, this makes a lot more sense.
Okay.
It's same with how is Moldaver still alive? Well, they showed you cryo.
That's still an open. How did she get in cryo though? Because
how did she get in and out of cryo?
I thought that was something that they've left open that they'll
explore next
either
season.
Explain or not explain later.
She's dead, so
yeah. But
I thought my mind went to she's a synth. Like she's a synth that was implanted with Moldaver's original.
That would be.
They still have. So what do they have in the next season to explore? Off the bat, I know they have synths and they have super mutants. They have all the robot stuff,
synths
right?
weren't that big of a thing in New Vegas,
Yeah.
which is obviously where they're going.
Is it going to be
Vegas
centered around New Vegas? You think?
What's the robot company?
Robco?
Robco. Robco
Yeah.
is going to be very big in New Vegas.
Yeah, we're
Okay.
gonna, because we saw Mr. Handy, which I love that William Berry, the voice of of Codsworth and all the Mr. Handys in the game, actually got to be himself on screen as the voice actor of the robot.
Who they ripped off
Yeah,
his voice by buying the studio.
yeah. But I think it'll be good because we'll see the Protectrons. I believe we'll maybe see. We saw
the dead Assaultron.
the Saltron, yeah, and then we got kind of an Easter egg brain in a jar with Bud, which may be the Robo Brains. But I think we'll see a lot more of those in season 2. I think they're going to introduce Super Mutants, Death Claws. Hopefully they'll stay away from the one of those flies that were annoying as shit.
Yeah, are there topics you guys don't want to see them explore?
I don't want to see them retread anything from the games. I honestly think it would be in their best interest to acknowledge, but not to retread. Okay. Obviously, going to New Vegas, after the events of New Vegas, there's going to be changes from what we saw.
Right. And that also gets tricky because in the games, depending on the character's actions through the games, there's a different ending, and the end state of the area you're in is different depending which ending. Now, there is, I guess, for each of them an official canonical ending that they use when they're producing the next game. Like, I can't remember what any of them are off the top of my head, but there are, like, I actually believe you wind up, like, for Fallout 4, I believe joining the Raiders in Nuka World is the canonical.
Oh.
Like, you become a Raider. I believe. I wouldn't swear to that.
Yeah,
but
that's
there
a very strange thing.
Yes. But that was the last DLC.
Yeah.
Most people play that after completing the game.
I think the canonical New Vegas one was at the dam, at Hoover Dam. Basically, the NCR and the Legion wiped themselves out, and then you took down Mr. House. So the state of New Vegas is a big question mark.
Yeah.
So that is what I will be interested in seeing. Like I said, they'll acknowledge what happened, but they won't retread it. We won't get the same notes of going in to face Mr. House. Yeah. I don't believe. I hope.
And that's something. What would concern me is they would take that and replace the Hoover Dam with the cold fusion device, and replace Mr. House with Lucy's dad.
So
and I don't want them doing that. I want them to stay with original.
Well, I think we saw that the cold fusion device only powers LA.
I had that question because there's laser cells in the games, right?
Yes.
So you see Moldaver carrying a laser pistol.
We do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they don't show it firing.
Right. Well, that's what I wasn't sure about because, like, I know that there's laser weapons. That's what I thought the cold fusion was going to power. So that changes.
Yeah. In Fallout 4, they're pretty common, but in the older games, they were more rare.
Yeah.
Okay.
And in like the older ones, you also had where your wear and tear. What's the
durability?
Durability. That's it. Yeah, your durability of your weapon would reduce every time you used it.
Okay.
So your rare, expensive guns with expensive ammo, you saved them till you needed them.
We didn't get a whole lot of bobbleheads like Bulk has to the right of him. We saw one in the shop, but
Well, she had
And-
one in the vault, and then there was one in the shop.
Okay.
For the first eight episodes in 3 locations, that's
Well, I think they're also like you can't put everything into one season.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Um,
there's only 16 in all of Fallout 4.
Oh, okay.
So it like I think they're gonna have more of those where you'll see like the you may come across the agility one in the next
So
next
them
season
making the
or-
ghoul the Vault Tech boy, like that's all new information.
That is new.
That
Well,
was one of
oh,
my
well,
favorite.
they I don't think they made him Vault Boy. I
Oh,
think
no?
Vault
Yeah, Vault Boy's blonde and he's got black hair, so
yeah,
But he does
Vault,
the thumbs up. You know,
he does
it-
up, but I think that was like because he doesn't do it like Vault Boy.
right.
In
I
front
think
of
that they took because I think they took him. They gave him them the idea, his scene there, and then they changed it just enough so they wouldn't have to pay it. Because
gotcha.
that's the kind of thing Vault Tech would.
That
well, except
that's
that Vault
headcanon
Boy,
if nothing else.
I think Vault Boy was around previous to that ad campaign. I think
Was it?
Vault Boy was the face, and then when they got Cooper, that was when, it took on a new level.
Okay, gotcha. Did
But
you guys?
I did like that in episode 1 where it immediately told you about the reason Vault Boy has his thumb out.
Yeah,
one
that
eye,
was cool.
One eye closed, thumb out.
Do you guys have a favorite character?
Like I said, I love Lucy. She's
Loke's got Lucy. What about you,
Yeah.
Bolg?
Titus, I love that he was this imposing fucking guy, and then it turns out he's a weenie played by Michael Rappaport. Which some of these cameos were awesome. I would have loved if instead of Rappaport, which I still love,
Okay,
yeah.
This guy.
If it had been Ron Perlman, that would have been funny. Because he was the
then
voice.
he'd have to say the war never changes line. If you had Ron Perlman there, he'd have to say it.
Moldaver said it. It's fine.
Yeah.
I think that would be too much pandering. But having him be the knight who is a weenie when he's been the voice of the opening, except for Fallout 4 in '76, I think.
Mhm.
Like, I think that would have been an awesome cameo. But Michael Rappaport made, I think, much.
It would also be too much like the character he played in Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
Maybe.
Watch that on Amazon, but I don't think he would go for it.
We are just about at that hour mark. We could go for a little longer if you fellas had more you wanted to discuss.
Oh, I could keep going.
Yeah, I could go for hours.
Things.
All right, let's.
One change that I would have made,
Mhm.
and I'd like to hear something you guys. One of the things I've noticed, and I liked from the first episode, and I've noticed a lot of reactors reacting to it, the ambiguity with whether or not Maximus had stuck the razor blade in the boot.
Mhm.
I don't think they should have told you
At the
answer
end.
to that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they should have left it ambiguous, and maybe even made his taking of the power armor a little more ambiguous. Because then you got that: is he the good guy he seems, or is he the bad guy who's really just pulling one over on everybody?
So yeah, that
I
was
like
actually
that play.
I
that
think
was
he
something
exists in
that
the
I-
gray space between.
I when I was watching it, I was like, wait. Why is he saying like they'll kill you for this? Couldn't he just go, "Oh, Knight Titus died in the line of battle. I had to put on the armor to continue the mission."
Yeah.
It.
And I'd also
Just tell
would've
the
liked-
truth.
Yeah. I would also have liked them to take it a little further and set it before the injury happened to set up that he was next in line. So that when they accuse him of it, he has motive.
I think they were more concerned with showing how much of
Yeah.
a
Sad sack he was.
sad sack he was. Yeah.
Yeah. Which
Even though you
what
see
they were
he is
going for
fucking
works.
jacked.
Yeah, it works. It works for what the. It's not a complaint, but if I was doing it, that's what I would have changed.
I believe Knight Titus's fate is a good lesson we should all learn, and sometimes it's better to just shut the fuck up. So sometimes just be fucking quiet, because things will go better for you.
Yeah. Oh, I'm going to threaten you, but please heal me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes shut the fuck up.
Yeah, please heal me, and then that's the end of it.
Now I'm back in my feet in power armor, and I can say whatever the fuck I want.
Yeah.
Just shut the fuck up.
Fuck.
That was so. That's probably my favorite scene if I had to name one.
That it was really good. Plus, I don't know if it was intentional, but the Yao Guai, which they call it bear, but it's a fucking Yao Guai. People who have played the games know it's a Yao Guai.
Mm-hmm.
It scratched the front of the armor and left 3 scratches in the Brotherhood of Steel logo, which I think was an excellent foreshadow into Maximus's own ideology with the Brotherhood being shaken, but also his doubling down on continuing on that path, just to keep himself alive. Brotherhood's one of those where you don't get to survive when leaving.
I think my favorite parts was Snip Snips.
I'm sorry, you're a little quiet there. Like what?
Snip Snip.
Yeah. Yes.
Mr. Handy Doctor Robot. Although, again, if I was doing it, I would have made it the what was the nurse?
Marie.
The Marie mod, because there's a female Mr. Handy that is a medical one
with a French accent.
With a French accent, yeah.
Okay.
Which, if you play that and you don't put her in a body, what are you doing?
So I thought, I'm sorry, I thought dog meat was an established character.
There's a dog meat in every game.
Yeah, it's the nickname of the dog in every game.
Gotcha.
And even in the show, he refers to the dog
as dog meat.
Dog meat. But it is not the same.
Okay, that's
talking about a thing that made you laugh when you shouldn't have laughed. The fucking opening of episode 2, they just take that puppy and throw it into the incinerator.
Dude.
I just went at boop. And look away.
Well, that's what I messaged in the group chat. I was like, oh, so that's how it's going to be.
It was oh, okay. We're jumping straight into black comedy. Cool, awesome, thank you.
Yeah, this show. It pushes boundaries.
My favorite thing that the show does very well is it drops lore in a way that you're not really, unless you're thinking about it, you're not going to pay attention to it. You're just going to accept it as the lore coming in. And just Philly. Why is it called Philly?
I don't know.
It's located at the LA landfill.
Oh. Interesting.
That's why it's Philly.
Gotcha.
Like I said, the EMP effects of the bombs and the Russian satellite and all that.
The car graveyards.
Yeah, car graveyard.
There's no working vehicles in Fallout.
Where did you guys stand on the level of the graphicness of some of the violence in the show?
Give me more.
Like I said, that just like the bloody mess perk, that is Fallout.
Okay.
Are you asking a horror fanatic how I feel about the violence?
The reason the question comes up is because I asked someone I know about it, and a couple people I know have said previously, like, The Boys is even a little over the line for them, and I'd say this goes beyond The Boys in terms of graphic.
No schlongs exploded in this movie.
Yeah.
In the show. I don't know if it's over the boys yet. As far as we'll save that for season 2.
When I watched the first episode before getting ready for bed and going because I had to go to work the next day, which I was sick the past couple of days, so I got to watch the series twice. But when it ends with the ghoul taking out that posse, when that guy's head exploded, I let out an audible yes, because it is ingrained into the games. They are hyper violent to be satirical. So I really enjoyed that aspect. Like I said, I want more. I want somebody to get shot with a small little gun and their whole body explode.
There were a couple scenes that were slightly uncomfortable to watch for my taste. The one that comes to mind is the leg grinder, where the guy needs a new foot, and she puts it in like a metal smoothie machine. That was a little rough to watch. Watching a guy pull an arrow out of his neck is, it's a provocative scene. So, it was just for maybe some more casual viewers, it's an interesting choice for them to lean heavier into this violence. And I was okay with the level of violence, but if there's a show that tries to go further than The Boys or Fallout's level, that's where I draw the line.
I was more surprised by the nudity and the
nudity in
the
Vault
way
4.
they treat sex.
Yeah.
That is different than it is in the games.
I don't know. Sex is still treated fairly openly.
It exists, but it's.
I mean, you can quite literally, in Fallout New Vegas, sleep with the guy who shot you in the head just so you can shoot him in the head while you're in bed, or forgive him entirely.
Yeah. Other than there's normally one in each, like there's the singer in Fallout 4. I don't know who they are in the other ones. There's normally one character other than your companions that you can somehow sleep with.
Gotcha.
And then you sleep with your, like, if your companion relationship gets up to a high enough level, but like I said, it's not graphic. It's not. It's kind of 1950s.
It's not Baldur's Gate 3.
Fade to black. Yeah, it's fade to black. So when in the first episode, Lucy's banging the guy on the table and talking about messing around with her cousin, which I don't believe she was actually fucking her cousin. This isn't Game of Thrones, Mr. Producer. You're wrong. You're wrong. I will not believe that about my Lucy. But anyway.
What Loga's referencing is about 5 minutes into the first episode, I sent a message to the group chat saying there's just too much damn cousin fucking going on in media, because I just finished watching House of Thrones in preparation for season 2. And if you know anything about House Targaryen, you understand why.
Yeah, I believe they were using what some people refer to as what is it? That might offend some people to say it that way. The Catholic alternative. It's not sex if you don't penetrate.
Or there's the new, what is it nowadays? The soaking method.
Yes.
Where you penetrate, but there's no movement unless you have a friend jumping up and down on the bed.
Which community is?
I think it's it's one of the religious communities. I don't fucking know. It's crazy. Yeah. Just fuck. Just do it. But I am very happy with this series. Very happy with what they did. Very excited for the next season. Definitely happy to see where the 3 main characters go from here. I would have been fine if the first season was completely, contained, and we got an entirely new story for the second season.
Oh,
It-
Bulk?
Just drop Bulk.
He's gone.
He's gone mid sentence.
Oh,
There he is. He's back.
he's back? All right.
You just disappeared for a second.
That'll happen.
I
But-
disagreed with your opinion, so you're not allowed.
So factions for the next season.
Mhm.
Is there anybody you want to see?
I would like to see the remnants of the Legion. I would like to see an actual set of the Raiders. It was a little confusing in the first episode, but I think I got the motivation behind it. She had a couple of actual NCR with her, but the rest were hired Raiders. But I would like to see a Raider faction where they're not good people at all. They don't tolerate outside people. They shoot you on sight. I want to see the super mutants.
Yep, super mutants and mini nukes are my answer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
mini nukes. That
For me,
And-
it's the what do I want to see in terms of the other stuff. We got a little bit of weird wasteland. I want to see more of that. Crank it up a little bit.
Yeah.
The aliens, let's bring them in. Yeah, aliens are a big part of each one of the games. Well, not a big part. They're
find
they're
the
an Easter
crash.
egg.
The best laser pistol comes from like the crashed UFO.
Oh,
Mhm. And there's
Interesting.
a DLC that takes place in space on Mothership Zeta.
I did not know
In
that.
Fallout 3. I want to see the
Is there one in New Vegas?
yes, there is a crashed ship in New Vegas. That's where you get the pistol there as well. I want to see, the Fat Boy. I want to see some of the weirder weapons.
Mhm.
The rocket sledge.
Oh, we lost Loke there. What the heck?
I think the stream's trying to tell us get the fuck off.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I want to see the pie machine.
The pie machine.
Isn't there a pie? Doesn't it? Do I have my game knowledge? Can't you like go up to like the machines that serve dessert and you have a chance to get pie or cake? Am I crazy? Hold on.
I don't think that's.
Fallout. I might be wrong. Yeah, the Porta Diner
Oh, okay.
with the claw machine that has the pie or cake. What is it?
There we go. He's back.
He's back.
You said something Mr. Producer didn't like.
Yeah, you two look off the boat. There was a little like pie machine in Fallout games, right, Loke?
That you can't pick up the
The cake.
yeah
Yeah.
the claw game like yeah.
Don't you have a
That's in
chance
four-
to get the
those are
cake,
four.
or is that you never get the cake?
Supposedly there's a chance.
Okay.
I who have 100%ed Fallout 4 never got the cake.
Never
out.
got the cake, huh?
I would like to see, more Nuka-Cola,
Mm-hmm.
which Nuka-Cola Victory by Jones Soda. I'm trying to find it. It wasn't where it said it was at Target, so I'm going to try a Winn-Dixie this weekend, I think. To
Wait,
find some.
Jones is doing a
Yeah.
Fallout collab.
Nuka-Cola Victory. Yep.
Okay.
There's also one, I think, that's alcoholic.
If you find one, could you pick one up for me and I'll pay you back?
I think it's a 6-pack, so yeah, I'll definitely be grabbing
Like,
that.
if you pick it, yeah, shoot me a text. You find it. We'll figure it out later.
Yeah.
But that's cool. That's
Um,
cool. I didn't know they were doing that.
That was what I wanted him to be standing on, was one of those bottles,
Mm.
but it's a water bottle instead. I do like the little details that show how much love was put into this series. And that's why I want more of them.
Something else I wanted to bring up.
Mhm.
I was really happy. The things I was most worried about, the scenes I liked least in the trailer,
Mhm.
were scenes that the audio was for other scenes.
Really?
Like when she's in the shop at the first time,
Mm-hmm.
she never asks that the shopkeeper clerk lady what's happened for the last 200 years. That never happens in the show like it does in the trailer. Where they
No,
took
instead it's like a conversation with Maximus.
yeah, which makes more sense and doesn't make her look so stupid.
Yes, yeah, that's fair. Good misdirect though.
But yeah, there's a couple of those that were in the trailer, and they were some of the cringiest parts of it that had me the most nervous from the trailer.
Mm-hmm.
When they actually came up in the show, that wasn't at all what they were. So I was happily surprised that they pulled the wool over my eyes.
That's good. That's good. Um, my notes are on my phone, which is on the charger. But I think I've hit on all the key points I want to. Do you guys have anything you need to get off your chests or want to discuss before we wrap up this week?
As a big fan of Fallout, I had high expectations, and I came in with my red pen ready,
Mm-hmm.
ready to just tear this show apart.
Mm-hmm.
And I could not be happier with the adaptation we got.
Yeah.
I am ecstatic, and I cannot wait for season 2. I hope it doesn't suffer from the Westworld season 2 problems.
Okay.
Yeah, that is my only fear is these are the directors of each season of Westworld got a little worse.
Okay.
And then they wound up not actually finishing it because the last one wasn't good enough to get renewed.
It'd be interesting to see how this develops over.
Yeah.
And I'm sure we'll see. I'll be interesting to see if there's news of resurgence in Fallout 76 or Fallout 4 downloads following this, because I think it was phenomenal.
There's a big jump. Plus, they're getting ready to release the new generation upgrade.
Okay.
So I'm waiting for that to come out for me to start playing again.
Yeah, if I was debating whether I was going to watch the series again or start playing one of the Fallouts again, so I was probably going to do one or the other, and that hasn't come out yet.
Play New Vegas. I'll play 4, and then Brandon gets his pick of 1, 2, or 3.
I have started New Vegas again on my Xbox recently.
Okay.
Okay.
There were rumors that there was New Vegas stuff in the 4 update. Whether it's actually true or not, that's not what this channel is. But,
not yet, anyway. Who knows? New content may be coming.
Yeah,
Who knows? Maybe we could stream each one of us on a rotation. Somebody, one person playing 3, then the next person playing New Vegas, the next person playing 4.
Yeah, we have content options, but we'll get something hammered out. I think that'd be cool. I think to close out this episode, I need ratings from you gentlemen. Loco, I'll start with you. On a scale of 0 to 10, you can do decimal points if you need to.
Like a 9.5.
You're 9.5 solid. Where do your dings come from?
Like I said, there was the couple minor points, the gripes that keep it from being perfect. I think I covered all of them. The little differences with the Brotherhood, the little things where like they could have used the nurse. I'm blanking on her name again. The nurse Handy instead of the Mr. Handy. Just the little things that would have made it perfect. It's still better probably than 90% of what we've reviewed for this show out there.
Gotcha.
But it's just not quite perfect. It's close. I think as close as anything we've come across recently.
Perfect is a hard. I mean, that's 9.5 is that's pretty damn good. Bolg, what say you?
I say perfection is impossible. You're never going to get the perfect adaptation. And that's the curse of adaptations. It's never going to be 1-to-1, but I think Fallout is as close as you can get without just playing the games.
Mhm.
So it gets a full 10 atomic blasts out of 10 for me.
Gotcha. So we got 9.5 and 10 out of 10. I'm gonna. I guess that leaves to me. Like I said, there were a couple scenes that, just pushed past a line that maybe I would want to watch as a casual viewer. But overall, I thought the aesthetics were impeccable. The soundtrack was phenomenal. Nothing felt bogged down by flashbacks or backstory.
I have a small horror connection
Mhm.
in that the song that is going on when Lucy and Monty are having sex on the table,
Mhm.
that is by Scatman Crothers, who is Dick Halloran in The Shining. So there you go. Little horror connection.
I think that if I had to rate a score, I'd probably go 9.4. Like I said, I ding it a little
You're
bit.
saying you liked it least of all of us. Shame.
Yes, they're
Still an average of a 9.7 or 8.
yeah.
Yeah.
There's a
So-
couple contextual things that did cater to those familiar with it that like that normies wouldn't get. The importance of like Red Rocket and some of the market. They just wouldn't understand it. I thought
But
it,
it's
I
not
thought
it's not essential knowledge though.
that is true. In terms of essential knowledge,
Like you see the big imploding blimp thing and you're like, "Oh man, the Brotherhood has got some stuff behind it." Those of us that have played Fallout 4 know it's the Pride Wind
mm-hmm.
somehow.
Yeah,
think
I
my Pride
guess
Wind blew up.
at this
But-
moment I
was to say,
can't.
it may not be the Pride one. It may be just another in the series that
Another flagship of some
another
kind.
flagship made in the same factory using the same blueprints.
Mhm.
If
Yeah,
you mind-
at this moment in time, I don't have an example to go off of for that essential knowledge. I think there were a couple parts that were like I'm not 100% certain here, and I could see how trying to pull someone new into this world, they would just have to do a little bit of
We didn't even
like
talk about the
bulks.
fact that the hacking minigame was exactly like it was.
There were a lot of intricate details that were just
Yeah,
so
The
good.
little details were so good.
I really liked the way they did the Pit Boys
Mhm.
because they look close to what you've seen in the previous ones, but just a little better.
Mhm.
A little
Well, I
more
mean,
realistic.
in the window of Ma June's, they had older Pit Boys from the older
Yeah.
games, and I thought that was awesome. There are so many little details that, if you're a fan of the series, are just little like, oh man, that's awesome. They included that.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Um, yeah, I think it's a really solid show, and I didn't see a whole lot of promotion for this, so I'm hoping it gets the numbers it needs to do really well. They are kind of promoting it now, I believe.
We have a message in the chat saying Mr. Producer needs to stop poo-pooing.
I'm well aware of what's going on in the chat. I've chosen
there's
not
nothing going
to
on in the
acknowledge
chat?
it. Is he messaging in our group chat? In our group?
No, it's in the YouTube chat.
Okay. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I do see it. It is none other than the old man who
Nigglewart?
haunts my life, Nigglewart. He has been going on talking to himself, hoping I would see it. But his message is that I should stop poo-pooing on everything we review. And to that, I would say a 9.4 is pretty damn good.
But it's still the lowest.
Yeah, Yeah, it is. But
No.
it could be
I get
worse.
I was at a 9. I was at a 9.5. I can't really.
So our what do you guys want to do next week? Because we shifted this episode a week later. I don't know if people want to go back to our previous schedule, where we essentially we'd be doing a stream next Friday. I think it's a good idea because there's a lot to cover from this week that's happened. By the time we hit next Friday, there's going to be even more. So I'm in favor of a episode next Friday if you guys are down for it.
Yeah, we can do a back-to-back. I don't
Yeah,
have
I'm
an
down
issue
for
with that. I mean, with all the stuff that just came out of CinemaCon this week.
Yeah, we only talked Fallout for an hour and a half. So
yeah, we could do the more regular show next week where we cover the more general genre topics.
cool.
And maybe talk some more Fallout if
Yeah, well,
who knows.
let's touch on Fallout, but we will not spend the same amount of time.
I've got
I
more
think-
Fallout shit all around. Like you can kind of see it back there. There's the Nuka-Cola girl riding the rocket.
Yeah, I think you can see it barely.
There's another one up here. Up here is a puzzle of the female protagonist from Fallout 4 with dog meat, which I did appreciate that they made dog meat German Shepherd to match Fallout 4 because otherwise it was just a mutt. But yeah, no, this week was, I think we were aiming for the entire thing to be Fallout, so that's fine. Next week we could go over some of the other news that has dropped, some of the other fun stuff that has happened. We didn't even get to talk about Godzilla Kong.
Yeah, there's a lot to talk about. So plan for an episode next Friday at our usual 8 o'clock start time. I'll try and get a notification out on socials for that. And with that being said, say goodbye, Bolg.
Endings never change.
Say goodbye, Loke.
Yeah.
Boys, you are gentlemen and scholars.